What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bell Point Sports here. I'm your host, David Lubell. I'm in a different location, as you can see. I got a couple of my bobbleheads and my foam fingers behind me because, yes, I am home in Philly. So, the Sixers did beat the Bucks last night. Tyrese Maxey had 54 points and like 3 blocks, 3 steals, 9 assists. Dude is an animal. But I'm actually not going to be talking about that today because I think I want to take a step around the league and talk about the Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are thinking of trading Anthony Davis. They said they want to move on. They want to look into the future, basically launch a rebuild. I think it makes sense if you're a new GM and you come into this situation and this is what you have to build. I understand the interim GMs want to leave their mark. Who knows if they're trusted to be the ones to make that trade, because they're not the permanent GMs. Obviously, now that Nico Harrison had so much trust and he lost all of it immediately, we're probably going to see ownership very involved in where Anthony Davis gets sent. Mark Cuban even came out and said he thinks it's not going to happen. He thinks that we need to see Kyrie Irving, Cooper Flag, and Anthony Davis together with this core to see if it actually works. I can tell you right now, it could work, but that's kind of the same thinking that Brooklyn had, and they never really got to see their three guys together in the playoffs because, injuries. And Kyrie was one of those guys too. So banking on dudes that are just old and injured, it's just a risky thing to do. And I don't think it's dumb to want to move on and kind of restart. I do think it's dumb that they decided to close the window that they had. They had a championship window. They were just in the finals 2 years ago to, have the potential of another one. But that's where we are now. So I'm going to kind of try and break down, where he could end up. I have a really hard time believing anyone would take AD in the state that he's in without seeing that he can play at an all-star level post-injury because, who knows what you're getting from him. There's a lot of teams that would take a flyer on him, but there's not a lot of teams that would give up the assets that the Dallas Mavericks are most likely looking for. Obviously, the last time he was traded was for Luka Doncic. That's not his value. That's not the market for Anthony Davis in 2025. That wasn't even the market for him last year. God knows how that happened. So it's interesting trying to draw up what a potential trade for him could look like. My first thought was the Chicago Bulls. It really was. The Bulls could move Vucevic. He's been having a really good start to this year. They could move Kobe White, who's still pretty young and is playing if the league wasn't so deep, he would be an all-star guard. And a contract, I don't know, like a Kevin Huerter, toss in a first-round pick or two, and you're there. I think that's all it takes to get Anthony Davis, and I think, honestly, that's an overpay. It really seems like something that the Chicago Bulls would do. Unfortunately, they made the splash trade way back when for Zach LaVine. They made the big splash trade, bringing in Vucevic, bringing in DeMar DeRozan. They've been active on the trade market, and I just wouldn't be shocked to see the franchise try another swing. I feel like they're the most delusional too in terms of whether they're contenders. They'll have a good start to the season like this, and obviously they've fallen off since that amazing undefeated start they had where they were the 1 seed in the conference briefly. But they'll have a good start like that, and they'll be like, this is our year, this is our window. And it's not. The thing about winning the East is it's obviously easier than the West, but it's not an easy thing to do. There's still a couple really solid teams up top that the Chicago Bulls, even with Anthony Davis, are probably not beating, just to be realistic about it. But I could see them swinging on it, and I hope they don't. I also think the Toronto Raptors could do it. The Toronto Raptors are a team that could swing and, with another star, could be a top seed in the East. They're already pretty decent this season. They've had a pretty good start. Brandon Ingram looks really good. Emmanuel Quickley's been really solid. They just beat my Sixers the other night, unfortunately. But they also have a lot of those B-tiered assets that they could trade. They could move RJ Barrett. They could move a guy like Pirtle, who I know the Raptors love, but obviously Ujiri's gone and he loved him the most. So they really do have the assets. They could throw a pick with RJ and Pirtle and you're already there with a trade package. The thing is, the Mavericks want more than that. I guarantee that they want more than that, but they're not going to get much more than that because Anthony Davis is aging and he's injured and he's not 26-year-old Anthony Davis. You got to think the last time he was traded and it wasn't for Luka Doncic, he was in his prime and it was that Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart crazy trade package where they gave up all their young guys and they got back Anthony Davis. And that's not realistically not what he's worth anymore, unfortunately. So the Mavericks are going to have to end up settling here for sure. The last team I had some thoughts about was San Antonio. I don't think they do this. I really don't. But it's fun to think about, if only because they have so many assets. They have so many assets. They have Harper, they have Castle, they have Devin Vassell, they have De'Aaron Fox, they have Sohan. You give any one of these guys and a pick, or two of these guys and no picks, and it's probably enough to get you Anthony Davis. And suddenly you're looking at the best defensive front court in basketball potentially ever. Anthony Davis and Wemby, like, jeez, who's scoring there? That would be crazy. Like I said, it's not going to happen, but it's fun to think about. I'm interested to see what actually does happen. This is a bit of a shorter video, but thank you for tuning in to Bell Point Sports. I'll see you guys next time.